Hey, welcome to Midweek Conversations. I'm Dennis.
And I'm Angelica.
And we were just chatting about some of our background. And Angelica, would you let everybody know a little bit about you? So you went to school.
Yeah, I went to school.
Kinesiology, you told
me. For kinesiology. I started that way. So if you guys know me now, you know that I graduated with an art and design degree and a theological studies degree. So I double majored. But what you might not know is that when I first went away to college, I was in the kinesiology program, and that's the study of the movement of the human body. So it was super fun. I was really inspired by my aunt, who's a physical therapist. She works at the hospital. And I thought, oh, this would be so fun to do. And I really loved it. You know, you got to hang out in the athletic buildings all the time, and you got to do games for class, and all of the study was really interesting, right? I love biology and I love science.
Wait, kinesiology, all you do is do a bunch of games for class?
Well, you get to do lots of sports and because you're studying the movement of the human body. So you're just learning about how things operate and what the mechanics are. And so
can you do that part again?
So a lot of stuff was just interesting. You know, you can go into physical therapy, which was what I was trying to do. You can go into you can be a trainer, or you could, a lot of them were sports trainers.
Sure.
That's what they wanted to do, of course, because they're in their sports and then they want to continue. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but okay.
So you flunked out of that program?
No. Yes. No, it wasn't, because if you're interested in something, then you're willing to do the work. So it was really fun. But the reason I didn't continue is because I was on campus one day, and I saw all of these art students running around with their portfolios, and they looked so happy, and they were sitting around campus, drawing with their charcoal out, and it was windy, and it was so idyllic. And I thought to myself, I want to do that. I want to go do that, because you can always go back and become a doctor, or you can always go back and do something in STEM, but you can't really go back and be an artist from the beginning. I can't really go back and get my bachelor's in art, because I'm 25 now, and I went back to visit my school, and the kids who start the art program now, it's just I could not have gone back and did this. So I knew that, and I said, well, I'm just going to do this now, and if I want to go back and do kinesiology and become a physical therapist later, I'll just do that. Because you can start later. Everybody goes back and becomes doctors later. So. Well,
everybody?
Well, lots of people. I mean, you can have a range of ages in a program like that.
Sure.
But you don't see a range of ages for artists. It's just you kind of.
You're gonna have to seize that.
You gotta seize
moment
it
in your life.
And I'm glad I did, because art school was so fun. It was so fun, and there's so much that I learned, and so many relationships, and so many things that I got a lot of leadership opportunities out of that. And so it happened in the right way, I believe, at the right time. But yeah, fun fact, I started in kinesiology, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you ended in art.
And I ended in art and theology. So I still had a lot of reading to do.
And that's why I so enjoy being in these conversations with Angelica, because she brings that theological perspective and also a creative perspective. And we just finished about an hour conversation leading up to this. We always try to warm up a little bit, and we try out some different themes, and so it's great. Now everyone wants to know, what were you talking about?
I know.
But we're going to say that for another time.
Nothing.
But
planting orange
actually,
trees.
we had a conversation that I thought would be a great lunch conversation or a panel conversation. And it regards the shooting that happened this last week over in Mount Horeb. But we didn't think it was appropriate for our midweek conversation, but it was so good. And we have different views, and yet being able to talk through that respectfully and with great animation and passion, and still being able to smile at each other right now. And we're not sitting here, but that's something that we try to build into the culture of River Hills Church.
Definitely.
And demonstrating that and bringing others into that conversation, I think would be so important, not just for the topic, but also for our culture.
Yeah.
And so sit tight, and we're going to figure out the right venue for that.
Yeah.
And go with that.
Yeah. So true. Also,
Yeah.
do you guys like our new chairs?
Yeah, look at these.
We got new chairs.
Well, kind of old chairs, but
Old chairs that are new to us.
chairs. Yeah, we bought them from the rummage sale.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody who participated in the rummage sale, who helped make it happen, but who also shopped the rummage sale. We did not just swipe these out of the rummage sale. We actually pay for them
Just kidding.
out of the rummage sale.
Yeah.
And my
They're
wife
comfy.
sometimes gives me a little expense account. She makes a donation and says, now you can spend up to this much in the rummage sale. You know, I feel like a little kid. You know, here are your
It's for
$2.
your own
You can
good.
go to the candy store and get this much.
Two
And don't
gumballs.
even dare ask
Gee
for any
whiz.
more because so,
Aw,
I love
so
you,
funny.
Deborah.
That is so cute. I love her too. What an icon.
So let's talk about the weekend message because I value your perspective,
Yeah.
and we kind of got primed on that a little bit
Yeah.
a few moments ago.
Well, like overall, I think what I've found cool about this message, and then of course our service Sunday, and I think the Sunday before even, is like there's like these calls to action in these messages that are like giving applicable steps that we can take. Like this week, it's creating memories, you know, creating these moments that are meaningful and intentional. That's something that, you know, we can actually take with us out in the world and do. And I think it's cool, like you were saying, even about this conversation. I think these conversations show that there's a step we can take, and it's having conversation with people,
Right.
just entering into conversations with people, and just being willing to just hold that space to talk. You don't even have to agree, you know. Just it doesn't mean you hate each other.
Right.
And so anyway, back, yeah. So the creating memories, and you had that image of the stone. I thought that was cool. Of course, that reminds me of the Old Testament, where they always would be creating altars where God connected with them.
Stones of remembrance.
Stones of remembrance.
Yeah.
And so that, of course, reminds me of that. And I always thought that was interesting, reading the Old Testament, and it'd be like, okay, and they put this giant rock here, or they piled up these stones and made altars or places to remember God. And I thought that was so cool. It's like you're just putting a little stamp.
I had a guy walk up to me after the service, and he said, you know, when you first came to town, you met my parents, and you picked up a rock and you wrote your phone number on the rock, and you gave it to them. And he said, in our kitchen by the phone, there sat your rock.
Aww.
And I always knew how to call you because your phone number was on the rock
love
sitting on
that.
top of the phone book. And I'm like, wow, I have. Now, this is interesting because not only did we talk about creating memories, but curating memories.
Mm-hmm.
And curating means, okay, so I'm gonna put this one on display. I'm gonna take care of this one. I'm gonna put this one in the background, and so on. And so this family curated that rock in such a way that it was prominent, and it caused that individual, upon hearing this message, to call it out to me. No memory of that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right. But now I have this constructed memory. I've pictured it in my mind's eye. I kind of want to go into his house
And see
that he grew up in and see where it was, because it reinforces for me the importance of doing something out of the ordinary that way. You know what? We're going to do something really fast, so I want you to think about something that you can talk to our audience about. We're not going to cut the film. I'm going to go
All
get
right.
something.
Well, we're not going to cut the film because I don't think it is film. I think these are digital cameras, which is super cool. And shout out
Stop
to
your-
Scott. and
This is
Bryce
ageism. You're talking to me
for-
about film.
for
And
doing this video.
this is not
You guys are
analog. This is
awesome.
digital. Yeah, I know. But here's, here
Can I have
is
Or hold one?
also, stones of remembrance. I was riding out to the end of
can I see?
the Great Sauk Trail that ends at Devil's Lake State Park at a fence,
this is
and
cute.
there were rocks on the fence, and there were some rocks at the base of it, and one of these says "Be kind" with a bee.
Cute. cute.
Angelica's afraid of bees.
I'm
There was
not-
one in the room earlier,
Whatever.
so I'm just going to kid her a
He's
little
just
bit.
mad because I said that film wasn't film.
You see how she kind of backed away? She doesn't like the sound of buzzing in her ear. But this one just was really meaningful to me because I was working on my health and my fitness, and I wrote all the way out there, and then it says, "You are stronger than you know." And I'm like, oh, so I picked this up, and I've held on to it in a similar way to that family that held on to my phone number on a rock. This looks a lot better than anyway. So yeah, Stones of Remembrance.
That's totally a
and
Dennis
curating.
move, to write a phone number on a rock. That is so funny. You totally did that. That's so funny.
I have to remember to do that more often, I guess.
You should just have like a bag of rocks, just in case anybody asks you something. You can say, "Oh, here's a website you can go visit." Just write it on a rock.
Now that's interesting because that just brought up another memory that I'm not going to talk about online, but we'll talk about it sometime.
Okay.
Maybe we'll bring it up, but yeah, it's the whole thing about memories.
Yeah.
Are really, it's a fascinating thing to me, and I'd like to ask you to have a call for action, or challenge you with a call to action, and that is to give us something to think about. Do you think it's possible to curate your memories? Can you bring a memory to light? Can you take a memory, maybe a negative memory, and to suppress it in a healthy sort of a way so that it doesn't become dominant in your life? I've come to believe that you can. And the reason we're talking about this is because Jesus, in instituting the Lord's Supper, he took a portion of the Passover, something which was emblazoned on every Jewish person's mind and memory to do on an annual basis, and then he changed it. He curated that memory and made it something which was now about being a Christ follower and not just being a Jew. Right?
I didn't think about it like that on Sunday. But
and so
yeah.
he brought his Gentile, his non-Jewish audience into this thing, and gave them something to ground their memory in rather than the Passover. And then he took the Passover and he changed that for Jewish people. So it's really kind of a genius moment.
Yeah.
What would you expect from he
From
who
God.
is God?
Right.
We think you're
That was
genius,
pretty
God.
cool.
We just want you to know. Cool, good,
Right.
good
Nice. True. I didn't think about that.
And so then he said, "Do this in remembrance of me," and that whole word is a fascinating word. Goes back to Plato, actually. And has a lot of baggage associated with it in classical literature.
Yeah.
But then the Apostle Paul takes that in AD 55 when he writes 1 Corinthians, and he says, "Do this every time you do it in remembrance of me." And it's like, okay, so why the every time you do it, or as often as you do it? And so is he talking about just doing it in a spiritual, religious rite, R-I-T-E, sort of way? Every time you perform this rite, even in the midst of a Passover meal, do it in remembrance of me? Or is it every time you drink a glass of grape juice or a glass of wine, and every time you have a piece of bread, just like every time you see a rainbow, or every time you see that pile of rocks,
Yeah.
which are a memorial, or every time you see a tombstone, think about
Or the cross.
that person, think about this, but think about the sacrifice every time you drink that glass of wine, and you're. And some people might say, "Oh man, you're really spoiling the party here, right? I was just trying to relax, but now you're telling me to think about Jesus' sacrifice." And well, yeah, I guess so. And I think that's a healthy thing to do, to think about what Jesus did every time we do those things. And that's what it's come to for
Is
me.
it like
I mean,
kind of-
if I taste matzah bread, I'm sorry, I'm
No,
talking too
no,
much.
no.
But if I taste that, it reminds me of communion. It reminds me
Right.
of what Jesus did.
Right.
So,
I was just gonna say, do you think it's kind of similar to the pray without ceasing? You know, you're always going around and you're always praying.
yeah.
Like, you know, it feels similar to me, where it's just like, I don't think you're literally walking around just saying the Lord's Prayer on repeat or something.
Right.
But it's just the action of being in community with God, with Jesus, in a way that's like, I think he's just trying to say this is a relationship, and in relationships,
And
you're often with them.
normalizing that relationship.
Yeah.
So it takes it out of the realm of religion,
That it's not just,
and it brings it into the realm of
Yeah.
everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be in a specific room. You don't have to have a specific, you know, clothes on, specific music playing or whatever. It's just it's a relationship.
Yeah.
He's accessible.
And there are still formal prayers, right?
Yes.
And formal prayers still have a place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just as
definitely.
You know, I'm not trying to cheapen communion
No.
or the Lord's Supper by saying that and suggesting that the Apostle Paul is saying
Right.
that, but I perhaps it's normalizing that into everyday life. So we're always reflecting
Yeah.
on Christ's sacrifice, but you still have those formal and very somber moments when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when we celebrate the institution of that on Maundy Thursday,
Right.
that somehow is much more solemn
Right.
than what we do on a more routine monthly Sunday basis.
Yes.
And so you have these levels of solemnity in that. So yeah,
It's like he's basically like saying, you know, don't just be a Christ follower once a week type thing. You
Right.
know, like we can fall
Right.
into that routine. Like I'm you know just gonna do whatever I want and live my life until I get to church. Then I'll sing a few songs, listen to some Bible, and go home and do it all again type thing. And I think that's maybe also a thing that he's addressing in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you can be, you know, you should be in his presence all the time. You should always be, you know, he's with you always type thing, which is it's more comforting than to just be like, oh my gosh, you know, can you imagine we had to all come to this specific spot, you know, at the specific time, this specific, all this yada yada, in order to encounter God.
Right.
I mean, that's why, you know, he says there, it's the new covenant type thing, because we don't have to do that Old Testament bit anymore, going to the tabernacle. We
Right.
don't have to do that. You know, it doesn't have to be like that. That's what the whole point is. The veil was torn. It's all open. We got the Holy Spirit. It's great. So.
we worship in spirit and truth.
And in truth, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's good. It's good. But yeah, I had not thought about the bread and the wine in that way. I also, I liked how you brought up the historical significance of that. It's kind of, it's such a weird thing, because it kind of is sometimes nice to have it be something that feels really, really like, what's the word? Like holy and like really set apart and special. So definitely we should keep that. But I also think with like a lot of the Bible, it's also about taking like the essence of what the teaching was, like the essence of the parable or whatever, the essence of the passage, and being able to apply it to your life today type thing. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're trying to take the essence of what the Passover or what the Last Supper was, and like apply it to our life, which is just like remembering that we're really living in the new covenant, and we're really living in the promise and the victory that Jesus fulfilled on the cross and in his raising from the dead.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
So just a reminder, because I'm really kind of fixating on this curating of memories thing. And if you have something to add or a question to ask about that, please just go ahead and make a comment below or send either one of us an email at either Angelica or Dennis at riverhillschurch.org. And we'd like to talk more about that. And I'm thinking about doing a little mini-series on curating memories. And the reason scripturally, it's, we're called to take every thought captive. And our dominant thoughts involve our memories. And if we're to take them captive, I think that means to take control of them in some way.
Yeah.
And not just react to how either our hormones or angelic / demonic beings might be messing, I should say demonic beings might be messing with us. But to take those captive and to, as we said, curate them. So anyway, please give us your thoughts and on that, because I would find that to be very interesting. So.
That would be cool, mini-series on that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm interested. I'm already sold out to it. I want to hear
This is why I love doing this with Angelica.
Yeah.
So we got something coming up.
We do. If you guys remember, last week we said we were going to do something fun. We said we were going to do an unboxing. If you remember, we had a big giant box here.
Yeah.
Of the water filter.
Here it comes.
So yeah,
here
it comes. Are you ready?
We actually did the unboxing a little bit prior to the filming of this, so we're going to be wearing different clothes. It's not that we went and put on our unboxing clothes.
Yeah, we did. What are you talking about? Yeah.
So check this out, and we'll see you later. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Dennis Verda.
And I'm Angelica Bear.
And we're with River Hills Church, and we are sponsoring the Sauk Prairie Walk, Run, Roll for Clean Water on May 18th down at Riverfront Park in Sauk City. Yeah, I know it's usually a 5K, but this is a 6K, and the reason it's a 6K because there are kids and women who are in the developing world on average walk 6 kilometers to get water for their families.
Yeah.
And so what this is, and I'm eager to get started, this is the community water filter from LifeStraw. And if you're a Costco member, you may have flipped through one of their flyers, and you'll see LifeStraw products, usually in the camping section. And they look like an ordinary water bottle, but there's actually a biologic filter inside of these, which makes it possible for you to scoop water out of a lake or out of a river and then drink that water straight without boiling it first and without using any tablets.
Makes it safe.
And it makes it safe, and that's what this is. But this is a big model. This one will actually filter enough water every day for 75 people to drink out of. And we are looking forward to bringing this to villages in southern Belize. Some people use these for their weddings, and they use these for parties. They cost $375. You can get one on sale right now. But what's great about this, I mean, look how simple this is.
Yeah, simple.
It's all BPA-free plastic. But the filter itself filters out, now I got to get this right because they say 99.999999% of bacteria and 99.999 only % of parasites and viruses. It eliminates cloudiness in water.
Yeah.
It eliminates most chemicals, but not 100%. But it actually meets the specifications for clean water from WHO, the World Health Organization, as well as the US EPA. So
And the kids actually said that the water tasted better, like the one that we actually set up.
See, it comes with 4 spigots. Now we got it this far, but we're actually missing a piece. They have great detailed instructions. Here's what it's going to look like when it's all done. But we're missing this. So where is that? Oh, the piece you threw away.
Oh, well.
All right, perfect.
I think you actually threw that.
There we go. Oh, I think you're right. I did throw that. And then there is a particulate filter that goes here. And what this does is, of course, it catches the leaves and stuff like that. In our case, we actually were pulling water out of a community well that was open to the top, and so animals and birds could get into that well and snap that in. Now that's going to take out any pine needles or leaves or whatever, so it doesn't clog the main filter. Here is the assembled Life Straw community.
Yes.
And as you can see, it has 4 spigots around the entire unit. That means that Angelica and I don't have to fight when we want to get a drink of water. We can just go ahead and both drink simultaneously.
Yes.
It gets filled with the raw water from the top, and then it takes a few minutes for it to actually filter through. And the filter lasts like close to a year. But what the beauty of it is you don't have to check it. When the thing clogs, it's done.
Yeah.
So then you can simply take the filter out and replace it. And your donation can help bring this to the developing world and villages that do not currently have access to clean water. You can literally make a difference in people's lives. So I hope that you can give generously to this project so we can bring these to Southern Belize. Thanks so much. You ready?
Yeah.
2, 1. And here is the assembled Life Straw.
Yes.
And as you can see, it has 4 spigots around the entire unit. And that means that Angelica and I don't have to fight over water. We can...